this is our Layered Ovals little gift bag or basket. If you put the handle on it, you could probably refer to it as a basket. You don't have to put the handles on, but I think it adds a lot to it and just gives it an overall really cute look. So the base of this box is made with basic black cardstock and shaped into a box, and then all the layered ovals are attached for the decoration. Let's go over all of the supplies that I'm going to be using to create this project. So I've got a piece of basic black for the box base. I have a piece here which will end up being the handle, and this is 7/8 of an inch by 8 inches. Another piece that is 4 by 3, and this will end up being a part of the focal point on the front. Another 4 by 3 of our Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. And I know that this is one that is going to be retiring, but it is going to be replaced with another one that is called Sparkle, basically the same thing. Then I have 6 pieces of my Designer Series paper over here. I've got 5 pieces cut out that I'm going to be using around the sides and the back of the box. And then I have this piece, which is very much like this one, that I'm going to color in some of the flowers to have as my focal point on the front. Now, of course, all of the list of supplies as well as the measurements is in your instruction sheet. So if you have any questions about anything, just refer to that. So let's go ahead and get started and get this going. So what I'm going to do next is get all of my ovals cut out. What I have here is my glimmer paper and the very largest plain oval from my Layering Ovals Framelits dies. Then I have with 5 pieces of my DSP and my basic black, I have the largest scalloped oval. And then for the piece of DSP that's going to end up being my focal point, I've gone one size down on my scallop circle. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot and get all of these cut out, and then we'll move on to coloring our image. Now I'm ready to go ahead and get my oval that's going to be the focal point colored. I'm going to be using our Stampin' Blends. If you don't have the Stampin' Blends, that's fine. You could always use the Stampin' Write markers or coloring pencils or whatever you like coloring with. But I would suggest, if you have not yet bought the set of Stampin' Blends, you would absolutely love them if you tried them. They're an alcohol-based marker. They're great to work with. They're fabulous for blending colors. And as you can see, I have a whole array of colors here. And I'm going to show you how I mix and match some colors and blend them together to get some shadowing and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video and let you watch me coloring. Before I jump into it though, I will go ahead and tell you the colors that I'm going to be using. I have got the Light and Dark Pool Party and the Light Bermuda Bay, Light and Dark Daffodil Delight, the Light Pumpkin Pie, and the Light and Dark Old Olive. Okay, now that I've got that colored, I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue and take my basic black scalloped oval, place that on top. I would recommend using either a liquid glue or perhaps some glue dots to stick your paper to the glimmer paper, because there is glitter on top of that glimmer paper, and it will make your paper stick a lot better if you use an adhesive that's going to work better. Then I'm going to take my DSP, put that on top of the basic black. All right, so now I'm going to sit this aside to dry for just a minute, and we're going to move on to our other layering circles that will go around the outside of the box. Now, as you can see here, this Designer Series paper is double-sided. Both of them are in black and white, and you can decide which one you like the best and which one you want to use. What we need to do with these pieces here is they need to be folded in half long ways from this, or well, let me just say let me make it easier. They need to be folded and have kind of like a taco shell. Hope that makes sense. So when you look at these ovals, let me put it on top of this piece of paper here. Hopefully it'll stand out better. This little ridge right here and this one right here are pretty much right in the center of this oval. So you can do this a couple of ways. You can line that little ridge right there up, and I've got a white line drawn down the center of my scoreboard. So I'm going to line that right up there with the 6-inch mark, which is my center, and line this other one up down here, and then just score right down the middle and fold that in half. If you don't have a scoreboard, you could always use your Stampin' Trimmer, use your cutting track to do the same thing with. If you don't have that, and you don't have the Simply Scored, then you can just fold these in half like this, matching up all those little bumps and ridges, and then just crease it with your fingers. Once you get everything folded, then come back in with your bone folder and give all of those folds, which actually one of them doesn't need to be folded. So you're only going to want to do 4 and leave 1 unfolded. And if you forget like I did and you end up folding it, it's not going to hurt a thing. So I'm going to scoochie those out of the way for just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and get my card or my box base scored. So I've got it in with the 7.5 inch across the top, and I'm going to score at 2.5, then at 3, then at 6, and at 7. I'm going to turn it a quarter turn and score on one side at 1 inch. Go ahead, fold and burnish all of your score lines. Then we'll do our cutting. So I have my 1 inch score line down here and all of the other ones that I made going up and down. So I'm going to cut straight up each of these score lines, and I'm going to stop at the horizontal score line. Then this little tab right here, we do not need. I'm going to cut that away at an angle, and then also cut a little angle out or a wedge out of that piece right there. Then these little smaller tabs that we have here, I'm going to cut a wedge out of both sides of both of these. Then we can go ahead and put our box together. I'm running a strip of Fast Fuse right down that little tab there. Going to fold this way, and then fold this over and match it up right there on that seam. Now typically what you'll want to do, in case you're new to box making, is wherever your seam comes together, that is where the back of your box is going to be. So this will end up being the back of my box. I'm going to put a strip of my adhesive right there, and that'll be the front tab. So I'm going to lay it so the bottom is facing up. Put in those 2 little small side tabs, fold in the back, and fold over the front. And so there we have our box base. Now next we're going to go ahead and put our handle in place, but we want it to have a curved shape. So I'm just going to take my bone folder and gently run that piece of paper between my finger, or between my thumb and my bone folder. And that's going to give it a curved shape. Then I'll put some adhesive on the inside part of the curve right at each end. Then take this and stick it to my box on both sides. All right, so there is our handle. Now we can go ahead and start putting these pieces into place. You can use whatever adhesive you like. The one thing that I will make mention is that, as you can see, when you go to put this on each of the corners of your box, it's actually going to stick up a little bit above the edge of your box right here. So when you're putting your adhesive on, you just want to make sure that about 1 inch down from the top, you do not put any adhesive right there. All right, so I'm going to flip it around. As you can see, there's a little bit hanging over. I'm going to take my scissors and just trim right next to the edge of that box and get rid of that piece. Put your glue on there and stick it on what will be the back right in the very center. Okay, Now we have our focal point, and you can turn it whichever way you like. To me, it looks like it should go this way. So that's how I'm going to put mine on there. Just like we did on the back, we'll stick this right down in the center on the front. So we have a couple of different looks here. This is the same designer series paper as this, but I managed to be able to cut out almost a whole flower and use just that flower as my center focal point. Then on this one, as you can see, same paper, but just different flowers. So this is really cute. I think that it would be awesome to put some little shredded paper in there or some small pieces of tissue, and I don't know if you're going to put candy in here or some jewelry or what you might have in mind, but let me give you the overall measurements. It is 2.5 inches wide, and it's 1 inch deep from front to back, and then the height is 3.5 inches. So it is a decent sized little basket or box, whatever you want to refer to it as, but I hope that you enjoy making this little package. It's going to be a fun one.